Chapter 3. We stand there, staring at each other for a long time. Then I drag my eyes away, desperately looking for a place to sit down. The windowsill is narrow but big enough to offer some support, and I shakily fall back against it, pressing my fisted hand with the bead inside against my stomach. At that moment, I hear footsteps descending the stairs to the left of the shop. I jump to attention as Mom rounds the corner and stops abruptly. "Kate, there you are. We've got our food and yours is getting—" Mom breaks off when she realizes that both Chelsea and I are gaping at her. "Kate, what's going on? What are you doing?" Nothing. I just am looking around the gift shop," I reply, trying to sound normal. I look desperately around the shop, trying to find a reason to stay for a few more minutes. I was just asking about these coffee mugs. I'll be right up, okay?" Mom's lips purse and her jaw sets. "Kate, this is an important time, and I don't think it's appropriate for you to be hanging around the gift shop instead of being with your family. Come and eat." How can I argue? She's right. It's not appropriate. So I shoot a glance at Chelsea and follow Mom back upstairs. The room is relatively quiet, as everyone is busy eating. Evelyn casts a glance at me, then goes back to eating, and I can tell that she's a little miffed that I took off. I look at the cheeseburger and fries on my plate, but my appetite is long gone. Instead, I grab my Coke and suck on the straw, trying to think of what I should say to Evelyn. I come up blank and settle down for a whispered, "I'm sorry. I'll explain later." Then I set the cut down and take a bite of my now cold hamburger. Keeping my eyes on my plate to avoid meeting the gaze of anyone else on the table, I think over what Chelsea just told me. EML. That would be Aunt Liz's bead. E for Elizabeth. And this girl Emma thinks that the bead saved her life? How could that be? Lots of questions flood my thoughts. Where did Chelsea find the bead? How long ago did she find it? Isn't all this just way too big a coincidence to actually be a coincidence? I desperately want to abandon my plate and my family and march back down to the gift shop and find out everything I can about the bead. Emma and how it could have saved her life. But I feel Mom's eyes on me. Giving her a guilty glance, it's obvious that she's more than a little ticked that I disappeared for so long. I try and make small talk with Evelyn, suddenly wanting nothing more than to tell her everything that's happened in the last hour. Being drawn to that spot in the trees while everybody's praying the rosary, finding the bead with my initials on it, then learning that someone else has another bead and thinks that it saved her life. But there's no way I can talk about that here, not with the whole family around. Who knows how they'd react? I don't even know what's really going on. So I ask Evelyn how she did on the algebra test on Thursday, and how she's coming along on her biology project, and when her first softball game is. I talk to 5-year-old Maria on my left, oohing and eyeing over the picture that she's colored on her placemat, and make a feeble effort to pretend that everything is normal and okay. The time drags on, and on, and on. I can't help casting an occasional glance toward the stairway, wishing that I could find an excuse to go back down there and learn the rest of the story. Finally, I see Chelsea standing at the top of the stairs with her purse over her shoulder, car keys in hand. She gives me a helpless look and a quick wave. She's leaving, and that's it. My chance to get answers to all my questions is lost. Back at home the next morning, we go to 10 o'clock Mass with the rest of the family. It feels almost like old times when we would meet for Mass, filling up 4 rows of pews with Grandma and Papa at the center. Afterward, though, instead of heading to Grandma and Papa's house like we used to, we go down the street to Evelyn's house for brunch. Aunt Susan has put together a huge spread of quiche, roast beef, cinnamon rolls, and more. I had hoped to finally get a chance to talk to Evelyn about the bead, but the house is packed with relatives, and getting a moment alone proves next to impossible. It's raining, so we can't go outside. Gwen and Ava are in the girls' bedroom, The boys are playing video games in the basement, and every other space in the house seems to be crawling with kids, adults, or both. At 1:30, Mom tells me it's time to go. I ask if I can stick around, hoping to talk to Evelyn after everyone else leaves. But Mom insists that she needs me to watch Paul while she and Dad take Gwen to softball practice and go shopping. I roll my eyes, but head for the car. At least my babysitting job is easy. Paul sits on the couch the whole time, watching baseball, while I read Lord of the Flies for English class. The moment Mom, Dad, and Gwen walk in the door, I ask if I can go to Evelyn's house. Mom's lips stretch in a tight line. Seriously? Why is she mad at me now? Fortunately, Dad nods his assent before reminding me to be home for dinner. I rush upstairs to my room and call Evelyn. Ev, it's me. Can I come over? I've got to talk to you. Yeah, sure. What's up? I can't say right now, but I'll fill you in when I get there. Something happened yesterday. Something really weird. And cool. And, well, I want to tell you about it and see what you think. I hang up and throw on my green puffer jacket, gloves, and hat as I run for the back door, rushing to grab my bike out of the garage. I pop my earbuds in, hit play, and jump on my bike. It's an easy ride to Evelyn's house. Only 7 blocks. Fortunately, the sun has come out and warmed the day significantly, and I find that I'm actually hot in my winter gear. My feet slow on the pedals as I get closer to the house, and by the time I arrive and set the kickstand, I'm filled with anxiety. This whole thing is weird. What if Evelyn thinks I'm crazy? I take a deep breath, willing the butterflies in my stomach to settle down. Why on earth am I so nervous to tell her what happened? After a few seconds, I approach the back door and give it a quick rap before peering inside to look at the kitchen. No one's in there, so I walk on in and call out Evelyn's name. Hearing her response, I head upstairs toward her room. She's nestled against the pillows of the bed with a book propped on raised knees. She looks up as I walk into the room. Hey, what's up? She asks, as she pushes from the pillows and pulls her legs in to sit cross-legged on the blue and green striped comforter. I pull out her desk chair and plop down, chewing my lip as I wonder where to start. I look over Evelyn's head and see the crucifix that hangs above her bed. I don't pray often, but I find myself offering a silent prayer that she'll believe me and that she'll know what we should do. Then I take a deep breath and begin. You remember Grandma's rosary? The one with everybody's initials carved into silver beads? Yeah, Dad said that she prayed at least 1 rosary every day for us, Evelyn answers. I extend my leg so I can reach into my pocket. Drawing my hand out, I unfurl my palm wordlessly, watching her face as recognition washes over it. Evelyn stares at the bead for a long time, speechless, before carefully reaching into my palm and taking it into her own fingers. She looks at the engraved letters, running her forefinger over them as I have done so many times in the last 24 hours. Finally, she looks me in the eye and expels, almost in a whisper, "Where did you find this?" I tell her the whole story, about skipping out on the rosary yesterday when we were in the field, and walking to the trees, and how I felt so drawn to those trees, but I didn't know why. I tell her about finding the bead and crying, Dad coming and taking me to the car, and then going to the restaurant and meeting Chelsea. I tell her about EML, Emma, who now has Liz's bead. But here's the crazy thing, Ev. This girl, Emma, she thinks the bead saved her life. No way! Evelyn's been listening without moving. Now she leans toward me, clearly intrigued. Saved her life? How? What happened? That's the problem. I don't know. Mom walked in at that very moment and made me come back to the table. I wanted to go back and talk to this Chelsea girl more, but I knew Mom would kill me. Then before we were finished with lunch, Chelsea came upstairs, waved goodbye, and took off. We have to find out, Evelyn exclaims. We have to know what happened. And Aunt Liz should have her bead. It was Grandma's, and she should have it. I know. But what can I do? It's not like I can ride my bike all the way out there and talk to Chelsea, let alone get the bead back from her friend. And what if this Emma won't give it back? What then? Well, duh! For starters, you can call the restaurant and ask for Chelsea. If she's not there, you can ask when she's working next and call back then. Come on, Kate, where's your brain? I squirm a little at her criticism. Okay, that is pretty obvious. I don't know why I hadn't thought of it before. You're right, I answer. We just have to get the phone number for the restaurant. Now, if I were a normal 16-year-old, I'd pull my smartphone out of my pocket and look up Mayberry Cafe. Unfortunately, my mom is the wicked witch of cell phones and won't let me have one. She's in cahoots with Evelyn's mom, and most of the family for that matter. So Ev doesn't have one either. Let's go look it up on the computer in the kitchen, Evelyn suggests. Wait, I say. I think we should keep this a secret for now. I don't know why, I just do. Okay? Sure. Evelyn nods. I get it. We'll see if anyone's in the kitchen. If the coast is clear, we'll look up the number. If not, we'll figure something else out. We stroll into the kitchen, pretending that we're hungry and looking for a snack. Of course, Aunt Susan's already in there chopping up vegetables for dinner. The family computer is on the planning desk in a corner of the kitchen, and full of view of the sink where Aunt Susan is standing. She'll definitely wonder what we're up to if we sit down and Google the number for the restaurant. We each grab a banana and head back upstairs to regroup. What do we do now? Evelyn asks once we're out of earshot. I don't know. We can't do it at my house either. The computer's right there in the living room, and somebody will be in there watching TV. I tap my finger on my lips. Evelyn's face screws up in a grimace. We could ask Dylan if we could use his phone, she says in a whisper. I nod my agreement, and we head down the hallway to Dylan's room. Evelyn raps on the closed door, but there's no answer. She puts her ear to the wooden surface, and I do the same. We can hear Dylan's voice from the other side, and from the syrupy sound of it, it's pretty obvious he's talking to his girlfriend. Evelyn rolls her eyes and whispers, Ugh. He could be on the phone for hours. We head back to Evelyn's room and plop down on our seats, each of us thinking quietly. Evelyn chews her lip, and I gnaw on a snag in my pinky nail. How can we get a phone number without being detected by any of our family members? Finally, I pipe up. What about the library? Brilliant! Evelyn jumps off the bed. Let's go! We head out the door and in the garage before it occurs to us that we need to let our parents know where we're going. We run into the house. Evelyn stops in the kitchen to tell her mom, while I call my dad. Then we both hop on our bikes and race down the driveway. The library on a Sunday afternoon is dead. Finding a computer is no problem, and we quickly do a search and find the number for the cafe. We jot down the number and head right back out the door. We're nearly at our bikes when Evelyn stops suddenly. Wait. Our parents are going to wonder why we went to the library and came back empty-handed. Do you think maybe we should check out some books? Shoot. I stop my foot and punch my fist in the air. What if Chelsea's working right now? What if we take too long and we miss her? But we both know we can't come home from a trip to the library without a single book. And without further discussion, Evelyn grabs my sleeve and pulls me back into the building. 15 minutes later, fines paid and books in hand, Evelyn and I are back on our bikes. Of course, neither of us thought to bring a backpack, and we struggle to steer one-handed. We hurry as much as we can and nearly collide into each other going through the back door. Evelyn's mom is still in the kitchen sink and looks up as we rush in. Wow, girls, what's got you in such a hurry? Evelyn slows down abruptly. Oh, nothing, Mom. We just want to look at our books, she answers, without actually looking at her mom. Fortunately, we're both pretty bookish, so Aunt Susan just raises an eyebrow, smiles, and says, All right, girls, have fun. Evelyn grabs 2 bottles of water from the fridge, and we head back upstairs. Once we're safely in her room, I sit down on the bed and stare at the phone, my heart racing. Oh, come on, Kate, you've just got to do it. Evelyn grabs the cordless phone and holds her hand out, wordlessly demanding the paper that has the number scratched across it. I take a deep breath and reach into my pocket, my fingers colliding with the bead as I fish for the small slip of paper. I hand it to Evelyn. She dials the number and then hands the phone back to me. The phone rings several times before someone answers. Hi, is Chelsea working right now? I stammer. Her shift just ended, the feminine voice on the other end says. My heart plummets. But hang on, she might still be here. Can I ask who's calling? Well, my name is Kate Roberts. I talked to her in the gift shop yesterday. Oh, she told me about you. Just a minute, let me check and see if she's still here. The line goes silent as the girl puts me on hold. I look at Evelyn, startled that Chelsea might have told this stranger the story that I haven't told anyone but Evelyn yet. Hello? I recognize the voice instantly and jump off the bed in excitement. Evelyn jumps up too and puts her head next to mine so she can hear the conversation. Hi, Chelsea? Yeah, hi, Kate, right? I mumble in affirmation. I was hoping you'd call. I had no idea how to get a hold of you. I talked to my friend Emma and told her all about your bead. She really wants to meet you and tell you her story. Do you think it would be possible to do that? Evelyn jerks her head away excitedly. She's nearly jumping up and down, mouthing, Yes, yes, yes! I have no idea how I'm going to get all the way out to Danville, but I guess that we can figure something out. Sure, I can do that. When? How about Thursday? I look at Ev, but she's shaking her head. Tomorrow, she mouths. Thursday won't work. Could we do it tomorrow? I ask. I'll have to check with Emma, but yeah, that'll probably work. I give Chelsea Evelyn's phone number and hang up. Then it sinks in. I just made plans to meet someone. Nearly an hour away, on a school day, with no transportation, to or from the meeting. My parents don't know that I'm doing this. Evelyn's parents don't know. Nobody with a car knows about this. And I hadn't really planned on telling anyone about it yet either. At least, not yet. I turn on Evelyn. Tomorrow? Tomorrow? Why tomorrow? What have we just done? How on earth are we going to get all the way out there tomorrow? Kate, relax. Aunt Liz. She's still in town, staying with Uncle John and Aunt Kathy. We just have to tell her. She's cool, and it's her bead. She'll take us. But she leaves on Tuesday, so it has to be tomorrow. I look at the clock. It's almost 5, and I'll have to go home for dinner soon. We don't have much time. Okay, you've got a point. But do you have her number? No, Evelyn cringes. But I'm sure my mom does. We just have to find her phone, look in the contacts, and voila! For the record, I'm no angel, but I'm not altogether comfortable with snooping around someone else's phone. I think about it briefly before writing it off as Evelyn's responsibility. It's her mom, her snooping. I'm just a bystander. Okay, go for it. I'll wait here. I sit back down on the bed and open my new library book. Evelyn shoots me an exasperated look before tiptoeing from the room. 5 minutes later, she's back, phone in hand, but she doesn't look happy. It's dead, she whispers. Where's the charger? I don't know. I looked, and I can't find it. Well, what about your dad's phone? Aunt Liz is his sister. He'll have her number. You're right, but his phone is where it always is, in his pocket. Shoot. Okay, we'll just have to find the charger. Somehow my I'm just a bystander resolution flies out the window, and now I'm involved in a full-scale hunt for a cell phone charger. We look in the car, Aunt Susan's purse, and in her office. It's not there. Finally, 20 minutes later, we're standing in her parents' bedroom, and Evelyn whispers in desperation, St. Anthony, won't you please come around? Mom's charger is lost and must be found. I chuckle, as if. I've always thought that that was the dumbest thing, praying to a saint to help you find something that you've lost. Evelyn suddenly drops to her knees, picks up the bed skirt, and peers under the bed. Ah, there it is! Grabbing a hanger, she swipes under the bed, and sure enough, there's the charger. Evelyn's smile is huge and her eyes sparkle. She looks up at the ceiling. Thank you, St. Anthony, you rock! I'm speechless. I seriously didn't think Evelyn bought into that stuff. It is just a coincidence. Rolling my eyes, I turn on my heel and I leave the room, breathing a sigh of relief once we're safely back in Evelyn's room. We plug in her mom's phone and wait impatiently while it gains enough charge to power on. Finally, Evelyn locates Aunt Liz's contact info and holds the phone out so I can see the number. Once again, I'm nervous to pick up the phone and stare at the cordless handset like it's a slimy, stinky fish. Evelyn, ever the courageous one, grabs it from her bedside table and presses in the numbers. I can hear the phone ringing from the other end where I stand, but Aunt Liz doesn't pick up. Evelyn leaves a vague message, asking Aunt Liz to call her, and hangs up. Then we both sit there, willing the phone to ring. No such luck. 30 minutes later, it's time for me to go home, and we still haven't heard from Aunt Liz. We did, however, hear back from Chelsea, and we're all set to meet her and Emma at the restaurant tomorrow afternoon. Now we just have to find a ride. I have a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach as I pedal away from Evelyn's house. We've got to make this work, and I really need to know what happened to this Emma person, and how the bead saved her life. I realize that getting that information is suddenly more important to me than just about anything else. When I walk in the door of my house, I quickly recognize the smell of a frozen pizza cooking. Not again, I think. My mom used to love cooking, but lately we've been eating an awful lot of stuff that comes from the freezer or from a box. I suffer through dinner, glancing at my watch every few minutes. Dad tries to keep some sort of conversation going, but it's an uphill battle. Mom stares at her plate without saying a word, chewing mechanically. Paul's clearly anxious to go outside and enjoy the neighbor kids' baseball game. Gwen wants to read her book, and I just want to call Evelyn. I dutifully help to clean the dishes before grabbing the cordless phone and running up to my room, where I dial Evelyn's number. "Have you heard from Aunt Liz yet?" I ask, without even saying hello. "No," she answers, her voice laced with concern. "Do you think I should call her again?" "No, if you do, she'll wonder what's so important, and then they'll probably mention it to Uncle John and Aunt Kathy, and they'll end up calling your mom, and then everybody's going to be asking all sorts of questions." "Kate, let me ask you this. Just why is it so important that we keep this a secret?" "I don't know. I just feel like we have to. You know how Mom's been ever since Grandma died. She's really down. She doesn't get excited or happy about anything, and it's like she's just looking for a reason to say no to me. I guess I'm afraid that if she finds out, she'll just tell me that it's all nonsense, and that I'm wasting my time even looking into it. She's really bitter about the whole God thing lately, anyway." I pause in front of my window, looking out at the gathering darkness. You know what I heard her tell my dad a while back? She was talking about how Grandma used to go to Mass every day, and how she prayed all the time, and then she said, "Look where it got her. What a waste." Who knows what she'd say if I told her about all this. For the record, my parents have never been very religious, and I don't think my dad believes in God at all. Sure, we used to go to Mass every Sunday, and they send us to Catholic schools, but we don't pray or talk about religion outside of that. It's like we're just going through the motions, because that's what we're supposed to do. Nonetheless, Mom's words really surprised me, especially since Grandma was obviously so into her faith. I swallow hard and continue. I know it doesn't make any sense, but I guess I'm worried about what Mom will do if this whole thing turns out to be some kind of miracle, or if we find out that it's all a bunch of junk. I'm afraid she'll get upset either way, and she's already upset all of the time. I don't want her to lose whatever faith she has left. I stop as my own words sink in. I hadn't really thought about it all the way through before, so it's like I'm hearing my own thoughts for the first time. So I guess that's why I want to keep it a secret, I finish lamely. The line falls silent. I begin to wonder if Evelyn's still there, and then finally, "Okay, I get it. We'll keep it a secret. But we have to have a plan B, in case Aunt Liz doesn't call." "Do the city buses run out there?" "I don't think so." A taxi? I suggest hopefully. Do you have any idea how much that would cost? Yeah, both of our allowances combined for the next 6 months. Right. Silence. I chew on my lip, searching for an idea. Finally, Evelyn says in a slightly choked voice, Dylan? Well, there is Dylan. He's got his own car, an old Honda Accord, which he constantly pushes to the very limits of its speedometer. If these beads really have some kind of power, and I take mine with me, we might just survive the trip out to Danville and back. I take a deep breath. Dylan. Mustering up my courage, I agree. Okay, go ask him and call me back. Evelyn hangs up the phone, and I sit down to work on my homework. I can't seem to focus, though, and my mind wanders to thinking about how our family has changed since Grandma died. We used to be one of those families that got together every weekend. Grandma and Papa had the coolest house, and there was no place that we'd rather be. Papa would always say, "Well, that's why we built this place. We wanted a grandkid magnet." He'd smile, look at all of us, and say, "I guess it worked." Yeah, it did. The pool, the games, the giant TV. There was always something to do at Grandma and Papa's house. But it was more than just the house. It was the people inside. People who always welcomed us with a smile and the unspoken assurance that we were wanted and loved. Grandma and Papa had 7 kids. Well, that's how I always think of it. But Grandma would have told you that she had 11. 7 that God gave her as gifts on earth, and 4 that he needed up in heaven. I never understood how she could be so accepting of having lost 4 babies. But I guess that was just Grandma. Those 7 kids used to be super close. 6 of them still live in town, within 20 minutes of each other. Evelyn's dad, Uncle David, is the oldest of the kids. He and Aunt Susan have 3 children. My mom's next, and we have 3 kids in our family, too. Then comes Aunt Mary Ellen, who's only a year younger than my mom. Apparently, the 2 of them were like twins growing up because they were so close in age. But they've grown apart in the last few years, especially since Grandma died. Mom doesn't talk about it, but I think that they don't have much in common anymore. Aunt Mary Ellen is a lot more like Grandma. She and her husband Robert have 5 kids so far, and who knows how many more they'll have down the road. After Aunt Mary Ellen is Uncle Matthew. He and his wife, Aunt Janie, have 5 kids too. Then there's Uncle Joseph, the priest. There was another brother after Joseph, Mark, but he died shortly after he was born. Uncle Jonathan is next, and he and Aunt Kathy don't have any kids, even though they've been married for a while. Grandma's 3 miscarriages came between Uncle John and Aunt Liz, which means that Aunt Liz is a lot younger than everyone else. I always thought that she had to be a bit lonely, or maybe a bit spoiled, or both. Regardless, she's a journalist in Denver, and she's super cool. Since Evelyn and I are the oldest girls, she sometimes takes us out for movies, or manicures, and things like that when she's in town. So, 7 kids, 16 grandkids, and now both Grandma and Papa are gone. When we're together, it seems like everyone's still pretty close, but we almost never get everyone together anymore. We've all got our own activities, and our own friends, and our own lives, and no one has a house that's big enough for anyone anyways. I guess Grandma and Papa were the glue holding us together, and without them, we all seem to be drifting apart. The phone rings. Breaking through my reverie, I grab it before anyone else in the family can, figuring it's Evelyn. "He'll do it," she says, as soon as I answer. I let out the breath I hadn't realized I was holding. "But we have to pay for gas." "Okay, that's doable." "And I have to do his chores for a week to make up for his time." Better Evelyn than me. "So what's the story for our parents?" she asks. Oh, tough one. I've never snuck around like this before, and even though my mom's been driving me a bit nuts lately, I don't really want to lie to her. but I see no alternative. How about shopping? I reply reluctantly. Yeah, I guess that would work. I don't really want to lie to my parents, though. Evelyn echoes my concerns. You can go to confession on Saturday. I try and be flippant. Anyway, it's sort of true. We can buy something at the gift shop. Good one. How about you come to my house after school? Dylan's got a meeting with the guidance counselor, but he can take us after that. And so our plans are set. I hang up and attempt to read my history book again. It's going to be a long night.